Never give up. In a quiet village surrounded by tall mountains and endless green fields, there lived a boy named Ethan. The village was small, and most people spent their lives farming, fishing, or working in the market. Life there was simple, and few people ever dreamed beyond the borders of the village. But Ethan was different. From the time he was a little boy, he was fascinated by how things worked. While other children played games in the streets, Ethan spent hours taking apart broken clocks, old farming tools, and rusty machines he found in junkyards. His tiny room was filled with screws, pieces of metal, wires, and unfinished inventions. His mother often smiled and said, "One day, you'll build something amazing." Those words became the light that guided Ethan through his darkest days. However, Ethan's family was poor. His father worked tirelessly in the fields every day, and there were many nights when they barely had enough food to eat. Still, Ethan never stopped dreaming. Every evening after helping his father on the farm, he would sit under a small oil lamp and sketch ideas for machines that could make farming easier. At the age of 18, Ethan believed he was finally ready to change the world. He spent nearly a year building a farming machine that could plant seeds much faster than human hands. He used scraps of metal, broken wheels, and borrowed tools to create it. He worked day and night, often sleeping only a few hours. Finally, the day came to present his invention to the villagers. The entire village gathered in the field. Ethan's hands trembled with excitement as he explained how the machine would work. For a moment, he imagined the villagers cheering for him, proud that someone from their small village had created something special. He pulled the lever. The machine moved forward for a few seconds, then suddenly shook violently and broke apart into pieces. Silence filled the air. Then came the laughter. Some villagers laughed openly. Others shook their heads in disappointment. One man shouted, "You should stop wasting your time and work like everyone else." Ethan stood frozen, staring at the broken machine. His face burned with embarrassment. That night, he locked himself in his room and refused to speak to anyone. For the first time in his life, he thought about giving up. Days passed. Ethan stopped building inventions. He spent his time helping his father in the fields, trying to ignore the dream inside him. But every time he looked at the farmers struggling under the hot sun, he felt something pulling him back toward his passion. One evening, his mother quietly entered his room. She placed his old notebook of sketches on the table and said softly, "Failure does not mean you are not good enough. It means you are learning." Those words changed something inside him. The next morning, Ethan returned to his workshop. Years went by. Ethan failed again and again. At 20 years old, he created a water pump that exploded during testing. At 23, he designed a machine to carry heavy crops, but it was too weak to move properly. At 25, he traveled to the city hoping investors would support his ideas. Instead, they rejected him one after another. "You have no education. Your ideas are unrealistic. No one will buy these machines." Every rejection felt like another wound. To survive, Ethan worked small jobs during the day, repairing tools, cleaning warehouses, and carrying goods in the market. At night, exhausted and covered in dust, he continued working on his inventions. There were moments when life became unbearable. One winter was especially cruel. Ethan had almost no money left. Snow covered the village, and his workshop roof leaked whenever it rained. His hands were covered with cuts and burns from years of hard work. One night, sitting alone beside a weak candlelight, Ethan stared at another failed invention lying broken on the floor. He whispered to himself, "Maybe everyone was right about me." For several minutes, he simply sat there in silence. Then he remembered something his father once told him while working in the fields. Strong trees survive storms because their roots grow deep. Ethan realized that every hardship, every failure, and every disappointment had been strengthening him all along. So once again he stood up. This time, Ethan approached his work differently. Instead of rushing toward success, he began studying every mistake carefully. He read old engineering books borrowed from libraries in the city. He observed farmers closely to understand their real struggles. He learned patience. Slowly, his inventions improved. Then, after nearly 10 years of failures, Ethan had an idea that felt different from all the others. He wanted to create a harvesting machine that could help farmers gather crops 3 times faster while requiring far less physical effort. For 2 years, Ethan worked harder than ever before. He faced countless setbacks. Some parts failed repeatedly. Sometimes entire weeks of work were ruined overnight. But now, failure no longer frightened him. Every mistake became a lesson. Finally, at the age of 30, Ethan completed the machine. Once again, the villagers gathered in the fields. Some came out of curiosity. Others expected another failure. Ethan took a deep breath. His hands still trembled, not because he was weak, but because he had waited for this moment for half his life. He started the machine. It moved smoothly across the field. Crops were harvested quickly and cleanly. The farmers stared in disbelief. No explosion. No broken parts. No failure. Only success. For several seconds, nobody spoke. Then the entire field erupted with cheers. Some villagers who once laughed at him now rushed forward to congratulate him. Farmers from nearby towns soon arrived to see the invention themselves. Within months, Ethan's machines spread across the region, helping thousands of workers save time and energy. His life changed completely. He became successful, respected, and financially stable. Newspapers wrote articles about the boy who never gave up. Universities invited him to give speeches. Young inventors traveled long distances just to hear his story. But despite all his success, Ethan never forgot the pain of failure. Years later, during a speech at a university filled with students, a young man asked him, "Mr. Ethan, what is the secret to becoming successful?" Ethan smiled quietly before answering, "There is no secret." The room became silent. He continued, "I failed more times than I can remember. People laughed at me. They doubted me. Many times I doubted myself. But success does not belong to the smartest or the strongest person. It belongs to the one who refuses to quit." He paused for a moment and looked at the students. Every failure teaches you something. Every difficult moment makes you stronger. If you keep moving forward, even slowly, one day you will arrive where you are meant to be. The audience stood and applauded. And from that day on, Ethan's story traveled far beyond the mountains of his small village. His journey became a symbol of hope for dreamers everywhere, a reminder that failure is not the opposite of success, but part of it. Because sometimes, the people who change the world are simply the ones who refuse to give up. Thank you for watching this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe.